Being immortal isn't as glamorous as it's played out to be. Your past, present, and future are all jeopardized. The people you love, the people you hold dear, they're affected too. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot gives you an insight into what that's like. Henrietta is not immortal, but her cells are, even after she's died. Now, in my previous blog about this novel, I summarized the story a bit, but just as a recap, this story is about Henrietta Lacks getting cervical cancer, and there's a fascinating truth about her cancer cells. Turns out they're immortal cells, called HeLa. A story about Henrietta Lacks' past, future, and until the moment she takes her very last breath. Now, in my last blog, I viewed the story in an archetypal view. Now I'm about to take it to the next level. Viewing this in a feminist literary theory perspective is interesting because throughout the novel, women are constantly being used. Before I get into it, feminist literary theory is allowing readers to analyze the role of women and how they are portrayed throughout the novel. Key areas of focus within feminist theory include discrimination and exclusion on the basis of sex and gender, objectification, structural and economic inequality, power and oppression, and gender roles and stereotypes, among others. So in the novel, men are portrayed as more dominant to women. Within Henrietta's family, her husband is the one who makes the decisions and does most of the work, while Henrietta is more of the one to take care of the family in the house. But don't get me wrong, she was a very strong individual. In this day and age, the way women were treated wasn't all that bad, but women who were black had it a bit more tough, especially if you had medical issues, much like Henrietta. She suffered a great deal because of the condition she was in. She didn't even realize what was happening around her. Dr. George Gay took advantage of the state she was in, and once he had discovered the truth about her cells, he took as much of the samples of the tumor as possible. It was a story of white selling black, of black cultures contaminating white ones with a single cell in an era when a person with one drop of black blood had only recently gained the legal right to marry a white person. It was also the story of cells from an uncredited black woman becoming one of the most important tools in medicine. Skloot, 197. As you can see, black women are referred to as a tool, someone who can be taken advantage of because of their gender and race. At this point, she became regarded as property rather than a patient. Throughout the whole story, not only did Rebecca Skloot address racial exploitation, but also the rights patients had, and how they were taken advantage of. Because she was a black woman, they did not care for her consent by a family member, and although consent was not required while the patient was alive, after her death the doctors still manipulated Henrietta's husband Day, and took all the cells they desired. In the Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, the one who gets the most taken advantage of due to her gender is none other than Henrietta herself, and weirdly enough, half this time, she isn't alive to know it. The sad part of it all is that not only was Henrietta and her family deceived, but the whole world thought Henrietta voluntarily donated those cells. You know what is a myth? Everybody always saying Henrietta Lacks donated those cells. She didn't donate nothing. They took them and didn't ask. Skloot, 149. This is when the family is starting to understand how she was used in science. Although these were tough times for black women, many of them stayed strong. Take Deborah Lacks, for example. She was Henrietta's daughter. She fought for her mom till the very end and was determined to unlock the truth behind it all. Viewing the immortal life of Henrietta Lacks through a feminist perspective, you were introduced to a new side of the story that perhaps you missed the first time you read it. I personally enjoyed this book very much and most definitely recommend this to anyone who wants a hard-hitting read, especially after looking at it in a feminist perspective. Catch you in my next blog!